Okay, so hey everyone, my name is Ole. I'm the managing director for a company called Airbnb. I was also here presenting yesterday, but I'll still take you a bit through what Airbnb is. Airbnb is a community marketplace. We give people access to unique travel experiences all over the world. The way we do it is that we have an online platform for people to list their recommendations. Travelers who are interested can go onto that platform, find a place to stay, and travel there. And right now we have 200 places all over the world, or 200,000 listings all over the world. And if you choose to travel with Airbnb, you might end up in a shared space, staying in someone's spare room, staying on their floor, or maybe staying on their couch. You can also go to an amazing villa in Florida. We have penthouses in New York. We have even flats here in Malmö. Or you can go to somewhere more unique places. Who would not like to stay in a castle, a treehouse, on a boat, or even in an airplane? Actually, we recently got a village in Norway. If anyone wants to bring 400 of their closest friends. And the last year has been very exciting for us, and hopefully I want to tell you a little bit about why we went international, how we did it, and what it brought us. It all started with these three guys. Actually, it started with Brian in the middle and Joe, the guy with the red sneakers. They were designers, but they wanted to be entrepreneurs. Together, they decided, let's start a company. But that might have been very short-lived. The first thing that actually happened to them was that their landlord increased rent. He increased rent so much that they couldn't pay for it. And as the entrepreneurs they were looking around their apartment. They were thinking, what can we do? Can we actually sell something here? How can we make money from this place? And they realized there's all this extra space. There's a couch over there. There's a floor space. And I even got some spare space in my bedroom. So why don't we invite people in? We charge them to stay here. And we call it an air bed and breakfast. And that's what they did. And the first guests they had, they liked it so much that they were asking them, so when can we do this in another city? When can we do this elsewhere? And they realized there's actually a need there. There's a business opportunity. So they got Nate on board, the guy sitting in the couch. He's our CTO. And together they kicked off what we call the sharing economy. We see ourselves as pioneers of the movement built around the idea of sharing and the collaborative consumption movement. And it's been a lot of talks about this at the conference. And the way we experience the growth of the collaborative consumption movement is that it's actually paved the way for international expansion. In February 2012, we announced 9 new offices around the world and 5 million nights booked. And if you look at those two pieces of information, they're actually very closely interlinked. Because if you go back to mid-2011, we looked at all our nights booked, and we realized 3/4 of those nights were international. They happened outside of the US domestic market. And what it made us realize that Airbnb is no longer a US domestic business. It's a global business, and it has global business needs. And it's not really strange, right? Because people, they travel to a destination in the US. They come from the Netherlands, or they come from France. They go to New York, and they have this amazing Airbnb experience. And they get inspired. They think, well, I can actually host an Airbnb, right? I have some extra space. I have a spare bedroom. I have a couch. They come back, and they start hosting on Airbnb. And we see all these local communities popping up around the world. We have people actually are in London, in Paris, in Copenhagen, and in Malmö, as I said. And what this made us realize is that we need to go and speak with our users. Why are you here in Paris? Why are you here in London? And the message was really clear. They told us we're no longer only in New York or in San Francisco or in LA. We are in Paris, in London, in Hong Kong, in Copenhagen and Malmö. And the decision was really clear because we saw all this momentum. And what we did was that we followed the momentum. When looking at the top 10 markets of Airbnb in 2011, 5 of them were international. Today, we have offices in all of those markets. But not only that, because if we as companies were to base innovation on the current merit of a market, we probably might all still be using typewriters and pen and paper instead of having iPads and having laptops. So as a global business, we ask ourselves, where do we want to be? And we went, for instance, to Sao Paulo and to Moscow, and that has been a decision that has majorly paid off for us as a business. Moving on to all these offices, or moving out to all these offices, have allowed us to continue to drive innovation and growth. And what is really important for us is to build relationships with our local communities. Yesterday I spoke a little about trust, and trust is actually the currency that lubricates the system that we're built on. The way we build trust is that we go out, we set up local offices, we speak with our local communities, and we build real relationships with them. Because as a business that actually seeks to connect people online and have them meet offline, trust is key. And in this business, we realize that having 100 people that love you is way more important than 1 million that kind of likes you. That's one of the key lessons that we got. And when we found those 100 people, it allowed us to innovate faster. We have a history of going to our users, asking them, what is the problem just in front of you right now? How can we actually solve that problem? These 100 people is your best focus group. They can tell you exactly what they need, and as we become an increasingly global business, we need to be in several different markets, speaking with them, ask them what they need. One example is our photography business. We have probably the biggest archive of interior photographies in the world. We realized that we needed to take professional photographies because most of us aren't actually professional photographers. We take bad pictures. And when we get all this input from around the world, and we have 10 offices, we realize that it puts a lot of strain on your organization. It means that not only you have 1,000 people telling you what they need, you have maybe 100,000 people telling you what you need. So one key challenge is obviously finding the people that can do the expansion, convey the culture, understand the foundation of the company, and bring that to the local communities. On the flip side of that, you need every single department to be able to process, prioritize, and execute on all the information and feedback you get in. And only in this way you can drive innovation in a structured and focused way. What you realize is that when your business is growing 5 times a year, you need to have a team that scales the same way. Not necessarily adding on 5 times the amount of people, but they need to grow as business people 5 times. If not, you're going to be outrun by your business. And these things, love for a product, for a community, growth through our international offices, and having a strong foundation to build it on, continues to be the focal point of our business. It's going quite well. We recently actually announced 10 million nights booked. In June 2012, 5 months after we announced 5 million nights booked, in 5 months we doubled the amount of nights booked, largely also due to our international expansion. Being able to, being closer to our market, learning what they need, and tailoring it to become a better product helps us. And so to sum it up, if you consider going international, ask yourself, where's your customers? If you're a business based in Malmö and all your customers are in Amsterdam, what are you still doing in Malmö? Go to Amsterdam. Follow the momentum. Take a little bit of risk. If you are a consumer electronics business, maybe you want to be in the biggest consumer electronic market, even though don't see much traction there. And find those 100 people that love you. make products for them. They will be your best salespeople. They will tell people about your product, and they will make your product better. They will also be very demanding, but it will make you a better company. That's what I had, but maybe there's some questions. No questions. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, wait.
Hi, my name is Kristen. I'm a big fan of Airbnb. I had a great stay in New York in an apartment there. I remember some kind of incident a while ago with a girl who had her apartment trashed, and it was a bit of a trust issue. Could you tell us a bit more about that? Because I think it's really interesting how you can, even if trust can be damaged, how you can build it up again.
Yeah, so there's no question about that. Our community was appalled by what happened. That was back in 2011. A person unfortunately got her apartment trashed. What is important for us is that we have a strong community that, first of all, are able to sort out these incidents. And when we book 10 million nights, if you do 10 million anything, something might go wrong. The way we handle it is that we try to be there for our users. We have 24-hour customer support. We have a host guarantee of 700,000 euros here in Sweden, for instance. And we've continued on building trust features into our product. And what we see is our community adapts to it. Our community itself becomes the most important trust function we have.
Thanks for the presentation. I wanted to find out if you can give us an example of how, since building trust can vary depending on the cultural and social context, so when you are localizing the product in, for example, Germany, what are the different ways that you see that people interpret or specifically build trust, or do you have certain features that you differentiate by locations, or is there something that you've seen from your users that's special about the context, and that, how do you guys talk about that stuff in the office?
So you can say that a lot of Western Europe is more or less the same, but what we realized very early on was that payments is really important for people. Being able to pay out in currency, that is in your same currency, having the payments method that are predominant in that market, for instance, is actually something that builds trusts very easily. Another thing that is also very simple, very straightforward is having local language is important, and also the way you communicate with people. The one thing that we can be quite oblivious to, living in what we call the Western world, maybe people say, is that you think that you can just communicate the same way to people. I think if you speak with a Swedish person, that might actually differ how to speak with a Danish person, and how you do customer support, how you do outreach. Okay? Well, thank you all.